Good Saturday morning and welcome to another edition of the award-winning Outdoors with Larry Ray.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency.
Now, here's your host, Larry Ray.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome to Outdoors with Larry Ray on this Young Sportsman weekend for deer hunting in Tennessee. The calm before the storm. I tell you what, folks, this was a little windy. There's a lot of people have said over the years that I'm pretty windy, but it's getting windy out there, and we're going to have some dramatic changes. But it is second Saturday, which means there he is, sitting right over there, thinking about visions of 10-pound bass and things along that line.
Absolutely. Good morning, everybody.
My man Ron Wong.
I got to tell you, it's Saturday morning here, and if the rain will quit, I'm going to go out for a while.
Oh, you're going to go out for a while. The front is coming through, but if anybody knows about what's going on deer-wise, and I wished I could have gone by and seen him this week, but I did not have a very successful hunt, though there's never a bad day in the outdoors, and I had that. But we always like to start the show during this time of the year with our man Dave Payne from Pipe Dream Farms Butchery there in Galloway, Tennessee, right off Highway 70. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning.
All right, buddy. Now we've heard the forecast, and the grocery stores. There's no bread and milk left, anything like that. But you have to admit, Dave, bad weather. How far do you have to walk to get to work?
Well, I'm a good 100 steps. So
100 steps. So we know what we've heard about next week. Well, let's talk about as we go into this Young Sportsman's Weekend, and this, for the kids' sake, the youth's sake. I hope there's some kids out this today, and it's going to be cold tomorrow. But what's going on at Pipe Dream Farms Butchery?
Yeah, man, we're ready for them. I hope the weather holds out for them, and they get out there and make the last Young Sportsman's a good one. Historically, it's a little slow.
Yeah.
On the last one of the year, but you never know. I mean, people have been really dropping some deer off. We've been staying busy nonstop, so hopefully the weather holds out good enough, or they got some little buddy heaters or something to keep them warm out there.
Yeah.
Get out there and get it done for their last weekend.
And I know if only the young folks are out there this weekend,
right,
along with a licensed somebody to help them and things like that.
Yep.
But if you're out there today and you're heading out and you're a senior adult like me, unless you got a little kid with you taking them hunting, so you better go back home, because this is
no doubt.
This is today and tomorrow. The Young Sportsman's. I called it juvenile one time, and somebody thought I was talking about 201 Poplar and said, no, this is not juvenile court. This is Young Sportsman's gun, muzzleloader, archery, whatever you want to do, today through tomorrow. And then we kick back in our CWD unit next week. And I tell you what, if the forecast holds, we need to talk about being safe, right, Dave? I mean,
yeah. If the weather comes in, it's going to be pretty rough from what they're saying.
And I know that means taking care of. There's so much more stuff now, Ron. You know this now, that we can actually be out in things that back in the old days, Ron. I don't want to age you. And Dave's just Dave's a whippersnapper.
Dave is a whippersnapper.
Whippersnapper, right. But he served us in law enforcement, so that makes him double his age, really.
That's right.
When it comes down to it. But there's so much more to be clothing, anything like that. Heaters, as Dave mentioned, I got my buddy heater from Bass Pro, and I've got my new Frog Togs boots. I've got my heated jacket.
Nice.
There's so many things now that we can utilize, and so be careful out there today, folks.
That's right.
And when you get a deer, take it to Dave. They'll be there. What time y'all open on Saturday, Dave? What time?
9 o'clock. We'll be here from 9 to 6 for pickup and drop-offs, and then of course the after-hours trailer will be running all night long. So if you're running behind, you can take your time and drop it off in there.
Yes.
All you got to do is field dress it, and when you open the back door of the reefer trailer, on the left wall will have all the instructions and all the paperwork.
That's all you have to do. And Dave, I know you're the typical cuts. Somebody asked me about that because you guys do a great job of vacuum sealed. You know,
Yep.
I mean, this is the way you do it, and keep
he
it.
has those heavy-duty professional grinders to make excellent.
So talk about that for us real quickly before we let you go. I mean, once they drop a deer off, it's their deer, right, Dave?
That's right. Yeah. So when you come in, if you we have thankfully we have a lot of repeat customers, and I don't know if people have ever really paid attention to this because when they drop off at night on their own in the reefer trailer, they never do it the same way.
Oh.
And so if you watch my guys and pay attention, you'll realize how we make sure every deer goes back to the same person.
Yeah.
So when you fill out your paperwork, my guys will put a tagging system on it. They'll tag the head, they'll tag the ear for CWD testing, or they're going to put tags on it if you're going to shoulder mount it or tape it out or whatever. They're going to do that, but they're also going to put one on the rear leg through the hindquarter tendon, and it's going to have your name, if it's a buck or a doe, what day you killed it, and then it's going to be rolled up and zip tied to the outside of that leg.
Yes.
And on the outside has a date. So when it's time, when we get to that date, we open that zip tie up, then we go through those sheets and pull out your sheets and cut that deer accordingly.
And so whatever you have different options too, Dave. I know that.
That's right. That's right. So, all packages, you can do your back straps any way you want them. You can save any roast or steaks out of the hindquarters out of all packages, and then you get them ground up with fat, no fat, with bacon burger, breakfast sausage, bacon burger, several different varieties. Yeah. You got all your specialties, your jerky, your snack sticks, your summer sausages.
Oh, that summer sausage is great. Yeah, I got it. That's so there's so many options, folks. So tell them where you're located, Dave.
Yep, man, 1365 Burrow Cemetery Road, 901-870-2819, and just drop by and see us. Come by, pick up a hoodie for this cold weather.
Yeah, there you go.
Left.
Yes.
Yep, couple left in there. And like I said, we'll be running this weekend, Saturday today, 9 to 6, 9 to 5 tomorrow. Hopefully the weather holds out for the weekend, and, we can all have a great time. And we love seeing the youth come in with those deer, man. That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. Dave Payne, thank you, man. Have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you next week, okay? Hunker down, buddy. All right?
Yes, sir. See y'all.
All right. Dave Payne. And I tell you what, as cold as it might be, they might just hang them up outside. I don't know about that, but
well, we'll see what it is.
We'll see.
It is what it is.
Did you tell me there's 18 ways to keep up with the weather? Now
not 18 ways to keep up with the weather, but if you look at all these weather forecasts by all the different TV stations and radio stations, online, and everybody has an opinion.
Yes, they do,
and they're all different.
They all different,
and so it's going to be what it's going to be, and that's out of our control.
Just be prepared. Be prepared for whatever.
Now I will tell you, make sure that you open your
faucets.
Covered doors.
Oh, your faucets too.
Underneath your faucets.
Oh yeah, keep your faucets running too.
A lot of people don't remember to do that.
No.
And I use a 40-watt lamp bulb because of where my hot water heater is, and I put it right next to the
That's a good
pipes,
idea.
And it's plenty of heat to keep them from freezing up.
Yeah, and I know my house is built in the late 70s. So
mine's been built in the 50s.
Yours is in the 50s, but I tell you what, I still think some of my house is built better than some of the newer ones. I don't know. It's just my house is really well built, and I know yours probably was at that time. So, it's kind of hard to talk fishing right now, Ron.
Not really.
Not really? Okay.
No.
Well, I mean, we got the boat and sports and boat show coming up real soon in a couple of weeks, and Ron's going to be one of our featured seminar speakers. In fact, we're going to have another one of the seminar speakers on today's show, and I'm looking forward to talking to Blair, talking crappie fishing, and Ron has set that up for us. And we're going to talk to James Hall. And James, of course, is the editor of Bassmaster Magazine, but there's a new series out that BASS has come up with on it's called The Cast. It's on FS1, and Ron's watched it. I've watched it. First 3 episodes. 3 more episodes are on today, this morning.
Absolutely, this morning, and they'll rerun probably tomorrow, sometimes on FS1.
Yeah, so
Fox Sports 1.
James Hall's going to talk to us about that. Then we're going to talk to. There's a new a new movie out at we used to call the Pink Palace. I'm sorry, it's got a real different name now. It's called the Memphis Museum of Science and History, and there's a new IMAX 3D movie out called Wings Over the Water.
That would be cool in 3D.
Yes, and it starts today at the museum. We're going to talk about that. And then Ron has set up one of our all-time favorite guests. Can't get enough of David Fritts. And, of course, David announced last fall that he's given up the BASS circuit, but he's not going to quit fishing. That's just in his blood. And so we're going to, thanks to Ron Wong, we're going to talk to David Fritts and about fishing the new NPFL tour, right, Ron?
Yeah.
You talk to him.
National Professional Fishing League.
All right. And then we're going to close the show out with Randy Zeller talking about the Big Squirrel Challenge. But, Ron, you got 2 minutes. Give me a quick synopsis.
Real quick, water temperatures, surface temperatures in our local lakes, local area lakes, is in the mid-40s, soon to drop to the low 40s.
Okay.
But here's the thing about it. That's surface temperature.
Yeah.
5 to 8 feet down, it's going to be a little bit warmer. That's where your bait fish are going to be. I've seen clouds of bait fish in anywhere from 5 to 8, 9, 10 feet of water.
Yeah.
Based on where you're at. The crappie fishing is still good on the I-55 lakes, but you've got to use a bright colored jig.
Okay.
Chartreuse and black or a thunder cricket color.
Yeah.
Just something bright because the water is stained. And the fish the crappie there are about 5 to 8, maybe 9 feet at the very most.
I love it.
And they won't go down much further because of the stained water and also for the shad to survive. And the bass fishing, kind of slow. You want to fish the steep banks and the main lake points with a black and blue jig with a menace.
Yeah.
That'll work the best for you. Work them slow.
Work them slow.
Don't jump it up and down real high. Just short little shakes will work for you.
All right, that's abbreviated the best 2-minute fishing report you'll ever get online as he goes off the top of Ron Wong's head and not over my head. I know that for a fact, yeah. Let's take a break. We'll be right back and talking to Clay Blair. Let's talk a little crappie fishing.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
Ron? We'll be right back on Outdoors with Larry Ray.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on this January 13th. Good morning to all you folks in Memphis area here on AM 790, 92.9 HD FM. And, of course, we're on from 9 to 10:30 in Memphis. We're on from 6 to 7:30 in Brownsville, Tennessee on 1520 AM and 95.3 FM. And, of course, in Jackson, Tennessee, News Talk 101.5. And we're going to switch in and we're going to talk some fishing. We got Wong on the
Absolutely.
We got Wong in studio. Let's talk fishing and let's talk crappie fishing. And I'm really excited about this next guest. I hadn't had a chance to meet him, but he will be one of our seminar speakers at the Mid-South Sports and Boat Show. And I think this thing has been in existence way back to John Bondurant. Ron, you remember them all at the Mid-South Coliseum.
That was at the Mid-South Coliseum.
Yes. This has gone on for a long time, and thanks to Ron, we might call this Super Saturday, January the 27th, because we're going to start it off with Clay Blair at 11, then David Best, and then Ron Wong, then David Beal, and Tommy Cawley, and Jane Bruner. But we got Clay Blair with us this morning out of Senatobia, Mississippi. And first of all, good Saturday morning, Clay.
Good morning, Mr. Larry. Thank you so much for having me. Been looking forward to it.
Let's talk crappie, Ron. Now, you know Clay, and I've heard nothing but great things about Clay. And
well, absolutely, Larry. And I've had the opportunity to sit in Clay's boat. He's a wonderful guide. If you ever want to learn, not only how to crappie fish, but how to use your forward-facing sonar.
Yes.
He knows how to do all the different kinds of things, not just using your forward-facing sonar, but whether it's a trolling, slow trolling, power trolling, spider rigging, jigging. Clay knows it all. You know, I've known Clay for some number of years now, and we're so blessed to have him at one of the seminars coming up.
Yes.
Because he does a lot of seminars also around this area in Bass Pro Shop. Of course, he used to be with John Harrison, but he's on his own now.
That's
and
great.
Clay,
yeah.
You know, you've been guiding for a long time, and you've created a big list of clients and everything. What is that one thing that most people say, and why do they come back to you?
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Ron, you know, people want to come and they want to catch fish, but they want courtesy from the guide as well.
That's
and
right.
You know,
Yeah.
I've got a number of people that sometimes they don't even use me anymore, and they like to bring their boat, but they still call me. And you know what? There's plenty of fish out there for everybody, and I want everybody to come and enjoy fishing and catch fish. And you know, these crappie are very good to eat. I know Mr. Ron, he likes to take them home.
Yes.
Go.
Yeah.
And so I just think being, you know, kind and caring and help any way we can to help produce more fish for customers or just friends. You know, as far as guiding, you make a lot of friends during, you know, out on the water 8 hours.
That's
know,
right.
So,
yeah.
Most of the time, you know, people call and come back, and we get a lot of repeat. I get a lot of repeat business and things like that. And you know, we try to teach all aspects of fishing. I've been fishing these lakes, Sardis, Enid, Grenada, Arca-Butler when it was still had a little water in it. But I've been fishing all these lakes for, you know, 40 plus years. And so, you know, we follow the fish and stay on them and you know, usually have good days. Now, the weather a lot of times, you know, determines, you know, it's a big factor as far as crappie fishing. But I'm looking forward to the boat show. I want to teach a bunch of tips and techniques on, you know, how to put fish in the boat. So.
That's what we want to do. And again, we're talking to Clay Blair here out of Senatobia, Mississippi. And Clay, I know I've heard your name. Ron's known you for a long time. Anybody that Ron knows and respects is on my #1 list. But give our listeners a little bit of background about yourself, if you don't mind.
No, not a bit. So I'm once again, my name's Clay Blair, and I'm 51 years old, and I've lived in the independent Senatobia area all my life. I'm married. I've been married for 23 years. I've got a son that's 21 and a daughter that's 16.
Okay.
And he's an avid bass fisherman. I hadn't convinced him that crappie fishing's better, but he loves the bass. So.
Well, how about getting into crappie fishing? How did you do that? What's the?
Well,
who taught you?
Mr. Larry,
who's your mentor?
I tell you what, my granddaddy and my daddy.
There you
we've
go.
been going to Sardis.
There you go.
You know, we've been fishing, and then we had a little 14-foot aluminum boats with 9/9s. You know, there wasn't any such thing as the boats we're using nowadays. But
and you used the sculling paddle.
Yeah.
We used the skull and paddle, and we had 16-foot cane poles with corks and minnows is all we had. So.
And maybe a trolling motor, you know, a little one of those.
That's right.
Yeah, and no. What if it's?
A live scope.
Yeah, no live scope and things along that line. So you started at the basics. So talk about and Ron, and you'll talk about this a lot, folks at the boat show, and that's January 26th, 27th, 28th, the Agri Center. But talk about the evolution of crappie fishing. Then you started at the basics, and look where we are now. Yeah. The adjustable part of this, Clay, I'm assuming, is you have to roll with what's going on, right? I mean,
that's exactly right, Mr. Larry. You know, if you don't stay on top of this, you're left behind.
That's it. Yeah.
You know, all the computers and the forward-facing sonars. You know, for the older generation, it's pretty challenging because we didn't grow up in the computers. You know.
Amen.
And so it's actually taken a lot of practice, but I knew being a guide in a crappie angler fishing tournaments and things, if I ever wanted to compete or if I ever wanted to carry people out on a guide, I had to know all aspects.
Yes,
so
yeah.
It's kind of fortunate. I've been blessed from starting from basic all the way to today. My dad's 78. He gets on the boat. He looks like it's like a spaceship to him, with all the, technology and things.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But the good thing with me is I spent many days on the water with my grandfather and my dad with those cane poles, learning how to catch crappie. And it wasn't a sport then, Mr. Larry. It was more for a necessity. We caught these fish and we ate them. Crappie has kind of turned into maybe people still like to eat them, but it's also a sport.
Yes.
It's also a sport. So
yeah. Hey, to do the guiding that you do now, you do it in a fine fashion, in my opinion.
Nice boat.
You got a brand new War Eagle boat.
Talk about it.
Talk a little bit about that boat that you just got.
I saw the picture. It's nice. Talk about it.
I'm so excited. I got it. I went over to Monticello, Arkansas, and Mike and John Ward. They've been so good to me, and I received this right before Christmas. So, like I said, I'm on the pro staff of War Eagle, so I was able to bring the boat home, and man, it's I've been on the water several times with it already, and it fishes like a dream. It's a 2170 Black Hawk.
Wow,
so, It's a lot of room for people to get up. Mr. Ron's been out there. You can get up and walk around. I remember a time he hooked a big old 10-pound catfish, and he had the B&M PST pole.
Yes.
It was a 16-foot pole, and Mr. Ron wanted to get that fish in the boat so bad, and I messed around and hit the fish with my net and knocked the fish off the hook.
That'll happen.
Well, I know you
fishing.
got a great Facebook page, folks, and you could go to Clay Blair and look at his Facebook page, and of course,
Clay, before we let you go, I'm
we
going
got
to interrupt.
time here. Yeah.
Oh, do we?
Oh yeah, we're fine. Yeah, we're fine. That's why I'm asking him. I know the good folks at War Eagle Boats and known them for a long time. Of course, they're over in God's country in Arkansas. I'm sorry after that.
I know you. I knew you had to
Monticello, the Boll Weevils. That's their nickname. But that facility, folks, when you take folks out, Clay, I know you want them to catch fish, but I understand it from Ron and other ones that you're a teacher too. So talk about being in the boat with you.
Mr. Larry, all the stuff that I picked up on the 40-plus years of fishing, I want to teach and teach that. I don't hold anything back. If I've learned something new, I want to teach these people because, people usually get a guide because they love to fish and they're just trying to learn the sport.
Yeah.
So whether it be any of my sponsors, Crappie Magnets and B&M and things like that, I always teach them. And usually people want what we fish with after 8 hours.
That's
because
right.
You know why? It works.
It works.
How many B&M poles have you sold?
Oh, come on.
It's no telling. I'm a Jack Wells and I go way back, and I'm an advocate for B&M poles, and I tell you what, they're the best on the market in my opinion, and they hold up through and true every day, on the water.
So when we get in your boat, we're going to have some good equipment, right? You're going to have the B&M poles, all the latest things, folks. So I'm saying right now, you need to book a trip with Clay coming up. And
absolutely. And Clay, to do that, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Tell us.
So you can actually go to my Facebook page, Clay Blair Fishing, and you can message me, or you can contact me through my cell phone number, and my number is 662-501-0302. And like I said, call me for anything. If you're down here fishing and you're struggling and you need some tips, I'm more than glad to help you. And, even if you don't pay me and get on my boat, I'm still more than happy to help you any way I can.
And by the way, if Clay doesn't answer his phone sometimes, leave a message for him because he is a fireman.
He is a fireman.
Yes, sir.
I thought he was, and I
think in Collierville, is that correct?
I am. I've been a fireman there for 20, and I worked at South Haven Fire for 8 years. So I tell you what, Mr. Larry, Mr. Ron, I'm truly blessed the good Lord has blessed me because I always say I've never worked a day in my life. I've loved the fire service, and I love fishing. So God's been good to me.
Well, that's super, and we appreciate it, Clay. And I know that the reputation you present out there is who you are, and me and Ron being men of faith, we appreciate you standing tall and being a first responder, not only for that, but you're a first responder in the boat too, and that speaks a lot for you. And Jack Wells and all the Ward family, if they didn't like you, they wouldn't be with you. I can tell you that.
That's right. Well, that's right.
All right, Clay, we're going to let you go, buddy, and appreciate it.
And we're going to talk to you down the road, too.
Oh, down the road. We're going to more than talk. We're going to get in the boat with him.
Absolutely.
Okay? All right. Happy New Year,
Y'all
Clay.
welcome.
And we'll talk to you.
Y'all are welcome.
We got
Y'all
you.
are welcome anytime.
We got your number, man. Okay. Have a great one. Survive the blizzard of 2024. Okay, buddy.
I know it.
All right,
yes,
buddy.
sir. Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
y'all.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right. Clay Blair. Let's take a break on Outdoors with Larry Ray. That's going to be kind of hard to top, but James Hall's not bad. I think James can handle it. We'll be right back. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray. We talk every Saturday morning in our 24th year on the air and what we call the fastest 90 minutes in outdoor radio programming. And this next segment I know is going to go too fast, Ron.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, anytime we talk to James Hall, we know it's going to go fast.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about something that's near and dear to all of us.
Yeah, but I've got a question for him, too.
You got a question for him?
Okay. This is kind of,
Okay, this is spontaneous. All right, James Hall is on with us. Of course, he's the editor of the Bassmaster magazine. Has been on the show many times. Talking about something that I think is
who doesn't like to watch TV?
But
see a bunch of old people,
that
that we all care about.
Why we got James on here then? Oh, man, come on now. So, but anyway, no. Bassmaster magazine (BSS) is partnered with Bass Pro Shops on a new 7-part documentary, untold stories and bold cast of characters on The Cast, presented by Bass Pro Shops on FS1. And first of all, good Saturday morning, James, to you. And this thing must have been a labor of love. Talk about it, James.
Well, good morning, guys. I really appreciate y'all having me on this morning. And yes, it has been a labor of love. You know, this is a concept that we spawned a couple of years ago, not long after we lost Ray Scott. You know, we were at that giant fishing fair that Johnny Moore's had up at Bass Pro Shops, and we had brought Bob Cobb in to help us, and then, you know, Bill Dance was there, Jimmy Houston, Rick Clun, just all the legends of the sport. And we were sitting around, might have had a cold drink in our hand, and they started telling all these stories. And it dawned on us that, you know, God forbid we lose these guys at some point. All of these stories will be lost as well.
Absolutely.
And so our CEO, Chase Anderson, when we got back to the office from that, we met. He said, "Look, we cannot let this happen. This is our history. It's rich." And these stories have to live on in perpetuity. So that's when we began. We're like, all right, well, let's figure this thing out. And we got together with our sister company, JM Associates, and started making a list of people we had to talk to, questions we had to ask. And all that eventually formed this incredible documentary series that's called The Cast.
And it's pretty amazing. The first weekend was last weekend. It's only
it was awesome.
It was awesome. A lot of Ray Scott stuff. Of course, you'd have to have that from back in the late '60s and things along that line. You threw in some Hank Parker. You got some little tidbits on Dance and Bobby Murray and things along that line. Reception, James. How was it received? Because I've heard nothing but positive things.
It has been incredible. You know, we selfishly here at Bass, we were doing it to preserve our history, the heritage. You know, because 10 years from now, kids will grow up and may have heard of the name Ray Scott, but didn't know what he did. And so selfishly, that's why we did it. But then from an entertainment standpoint, the guys at JM just did an amazing job putting this stuff together, and they cut no corners whatsoever. And the stories that are being told in there have been so well received, it's kind of blowing us away. I mean, all the stuff on social media has been incredible. We've gotten phone calls and text messages, and so it has been extremely, extremely well received.
Well, I know when I was humble enough to go in the Legends of the Outdoor Hall of Fame, and got to rub shoulders with Bob Cobb that same day.
Yeah.
I had my picture made with Bob Cobb. I said, golly, this is amazing. I'm standing next to Bob Cobb. And so you get Bob involved in this. You got so many different things. It had to be a labor of love, but at the same time, man, this is overwhelming. I mean, this is how do you squeeze it all together?
And even getting all the people together to do it.
Yeah.
That was a real challenge, because we got Dewey Kendrick involved. We got Helen Severe.
Yes, that's right, Helen.
And Helen
that was still around, that can tell these stories. We just made a bunch of phone calls, and we went. Like I sat in on the Bill Dance interview, and that was, I think, 7 hours of footage we got with Bill telling stories.
7 hours with Dance.
Yes. And he could have kept on going. The rest of us were tired.
Yeah.
So it was amazing. I sat in on the Bob Cobb and the Helen Severe interviews, and so, I mean, just the interviews we did today, there are hundreds and hundreds of hours of
video
content.
Yes.
And then what is so cool, as y'all saw, like in the first episode, you'll see a lot more of it come later, but the guys at JM went through a dusty boxes. We actually went and took a lot of that old film that Bob Cobb had. He still had it in his freaking garage.
Are you serious?
I mean, the early Bassmaster
You
days.
had to have that because that was when they used a true shotgun start at the Bassmaster Classic.
And we had the Mystery Lake. I can remember Henry Reynolds getting in a plane and not knowing where we were going to cover this.
And to show that in your first episode, it was truly awesome. And, a lot of people are talking about seeing all of the other ones. Now, if somebody missed any of these episodes, is there a way to see them down the line?
Yeah, absolutely. About 4. So they're premiering on Fox FS1 and Saturday mornings. But if you miss those or can't DVR it or whatever, about a week later, we're posting full episodes on Bassmaster.com. So not only will you get full episodes on Bassmaster.com, but there's also a lot of outtake videos, like that cheater.
Yes,
we put a cheater video up
with Hank Parker. And I know folks out there. I know the show is on 3 different time slots here. For you folks in Brownsville and Jackson, there's still time this Saturday morning because let's see, 7 o'clock Saturday morning. That's we're on the air already during that time. Ray Scott Part 3. Right after that, Ray Scott Part 2, Ray Scott Part 3, and then at 8 a.m. This Saturday morning is Bill Dance. And so
that is one you do not.
I can't wait to watch that. So all you Memphis folks, you'll have to wait 4 days. But all you folks in Brownsville and Jackson, the only thing I'm worried about is that means those 30 minutes they ain't gonna listen to me. But that's okay. That's all right because this is groundbreaking things. And the name itself, the cast. Talk about that, James. How did that develop?
Yeah, honestly, I can't. We had a bunch of them. If you remember back in the days, we did a series called Legends and Lore of Bass.
Yeah, that's right.
That was kind of similar to what we're doing now, just not in depth, and it was weird branding and stuff. So we kind of started with that, and we put our heads together, and we had about 4 or 5 different titles. But to me, my vote went to the cast just because, it's the cast of characters that built the foundation of the industry on which we stand. And then you also, of course,
it's the cast for the fish. I mean,
you got a cast for the fish. So I couldn't think of a better name for the series than that.
Well, and your legendary people that you've having in this. I mean, the amazing Rick Clunn is still going. 50 years and
he's still
going and you're talking with Rick. And, of course, Brian Kerschel, I mean, some of these things just fall into place. I know it wasn't easy to put together. So talk about that, being able to squeeze this into 30 minutes.
Man, I'm glad that wasn't my job. Is what I'm. Is all
That's
I
what
can say about that.
okay.
I'm talking. There were thousands of hours, and they had to transfer all that old film onto video, and then they had to earmark a bunch of it.
You've already lost some of my guests. I mean, my listeners. Did he say film? What is that? No, I mean,
moving pictures.
Yeah, moving pictures. This wasn't silent era, folks, but it does take you. It does take you from the start, and brings you. To me, it reminds me. I love some of the PBS music shows on the PBS station where they bring back these old rock and roll singers that are no longer with us, but I'm watching them, perform. Mm-hmm. And you guys have taken this to fishing and come up with all these classic interviews. And you even mentioned dance from his furniture days. Come on, this is
Yeah, and I will say one other priority for us in this was to make it something that people that weren't avid fishermen would enjoy. So if you go back to that first one, you'll see that we reference Martin Luther King and the music that was popular.
No, that's exactly right. Yeah.
So it's telling the story of bass fishing within the context of what was happening in our nation during that time, which I think is pretty fascinating, because then you can look at the technology, the boats that were being driven, the rods and reels that were being used.
Amazing.
It's really amazing.
And Larry Nixon becoming the first millionaire. Now, who ever thought that in pro bass fishing, but with Ray Scott
again, like you were talking about earlier, James, the stories that are out there from all of these legends. You're able to put them together and be able to broadcast to a lot of people that don't know them for what they really were.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. And that'll really come to pass when y'all see that we do one episode featuring Roland Martin and Jimmy Houston. And their early pro days. Jimmy even makes fun of his own laugh. He makes fun of his hair. Roland's still like, I could still beat all y'all.
Yeah, that's right.
That's Roland.
Yeah, and these guys are still here, and that kind of makes it, adds to it. We're talking about some of the old timers, of course, but we've got guys that have endured all these years and have become ambassadors for the sport, and Ron knows that better than I do. And
even non-fishing people know of some of these names.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's right, and I will say the third element of it for your listeners to understand is that we also bring in some younger guys like Ike Anelli and Mark Zona, and they explain how and why they were so inspired by these guys. The other guy, the old guys that we're interviewing at the time, and so it kind of comes full circle, and it becomes at the end of each episode, it becomes quite inspirational.
Well, hey, James, we got about 30 seconds. Who's the next Alabama football coach?
Oh, come on, Ron.
Roll Tide. Hey, if it's not that dude from Washington, I'll be shocked.
Okay. We're thinking Oregon, but it's going to be somebody from the West, I think. All right, James, I'll tell everybody hello down there, buddy, and we appreciate you.
I'll do it.
Visiting with us, and we'll talk to you again, man. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
So much, guys. All right, y'all have a great weekend.
All right, let's take a break. Right back on Outdoors with Larry Ray. We're going to talk more film, but this one's in town. We'll be right back.
Right.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray. Good morning to all you folks in Brownsville, Tennessee on 1520 AM and 95.3 FM. And, of course, in News Talk 101.5 in Jackson. And right here in Memphis on AM 790, 92.9 HD FM, part of the Odyssey family. And, Ron, I know we've been talking a little fishing here and things along that line, but I can't think of a better topic to talk about in this segment is ducks, okay? I know we haven't had a whole lot of them flying by.
They ought to be coming.
They're coming this week. I know they are, because it always happens at the end of the month.
That's right.
But we have.
But we always like to talk movies too.
We like to talk movies too, and
good movies.
Even though I have a little problem with IMAX movies sometimes, if I move my head just right, I'm okay. But it's always good to talk to somebody with DU, and we've got a real thing we're going to talk about. James Roberts is on with us. He is the DU Managing Director of Development. Good morning, James.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I am doing great as we wait the blizzard of 2024 coming rolling in here, But and Sheila Noone of the Memphis Museum of Science and History. And Sheila, if you don't mind, I'm just going to call that MOSH, okay?
That's fine. I like it. Yep. Gets us there quicker.
You guys have partnered, and let's talk to the DU part of this on a new. It's something that's called the Wings Over the Water. We kind of had it on before. It's a 3D IMAX film that's at the Memphis Museum of Science and History. It's coming back for 2024 today at 11, 1:30, and 3:30. And before we get to Sheila to talk about the aspects of being at the museum, talk about it from James from the Ducks Unlimited perspective of Wings Over Water.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the time today, and I'm excited to be with you. And, I'll tell you what, I'm up in the Chicago area, so I'll give you a little heads up on the blizzard that's heading your way.
Okay. Now, I can remember the year the blizzard blew DU all the way down here now, James, so watch out now.
I can tell you, the birds just left.
Okay.
They are coming your way.
Okay. I was here when they dug the first shovel when y'all moved from Chicago down to Memphis, okay? So talk about it. Now talk about this the DU's partnership.
Yeah, so we got involved with this film. The story of this film goes back a few years, and it was actually Hastead of the Chicago area. With it was a brainchild of Max McGraw and some folks that realized that the importance of the prairie pothole and what that means to waterfowl, but not just waterfowl, but the next generation of conservationists and what this area means to everyone across North America. And how do you get the message out to individuals to this region that impacts everyone, but that not many people get to see what this place is. And what's the way for us to make that impact? Well, it's through a different type of medium. And so, when Ducks Unlimited was approached with this idea, we thought it was such a unique idea. And how do we not how do we not get involved?
Yes. And you've arranged for a pretty well-known name to be the narrator. Talk about that.
Yeah, well, when you get Michael Keaton involved, and then you get you get Batman to be the voice of everything. I think you kind of solidify a winner there. So I think we were off and running from that point. And
I know the film enables viewers to see the challenges also that maybe we don't know. Some people that maybe you're not a waterfowl hunter, but you're a conservation, or you like to watch waterfowl, and that's what this film does. It puts you right in the middle of it, doesn't it, James?
It really does, and that was the whole idea of going the distance to make it a 3D IMAX film, was to make it really jump off the screen and give you that fully immersive experience to feel it, so that you walk out of the theater and understand and have it not just tell the story, but really leave a mark in a passionate way with you.
Well, I think it does. And Sheila, talk about it from the museum's point of view. I mean, the film itself is such a dramatic film. I'm understanding that it puts you're part of the film when you go to that theater, because you guys do a great job of having this facility to do this. So let's talk about it from the museum side.
Sure, it's great, and what I love most is, the movie itself is so moving, and we do a lot of work with school groups. So we have a lot of field trips that come in and get to see that movie.
Yes,
and it's part of some of the things we do. We have a camp that's called the Greening of Mars, and we're talking about how to take care of the environment we have. And this movie is such a great way to introduce kids to that concept.
Yes.
Of, this is what happens. We have to take care of this earth of ours and how it affects the animals that they see when they come here. So we love it because it's just sort of the next step from our exhibits to this movie.
And so it also enables people that will never see this anywhere else in the outdoors, particularly kids. And I can imagine what the reaction is when you've been in the room with a room full of kids watching this. Spellbound.
Right. Oh, it's eye-opening, yes, and to see their faces because they care so much. The kids care so much, and just in general, everybody who comes. It's a moving film, and having Michael Keaton as the narrator, I think it shows this is important.
They realize
let's pay attention.
They know it's Batman. I mean, but so how long is the film? I mean, what's the length of it?
The film runs 45 minutes.
45 minutes, okay.
And it catches the kids from the very beginning. I mean, within the first few minutes.
It's
made for kids, and there's actually an educational curriculum that's built. That's actually built, and so it can be. The idea is for it to be utilized at some point inside the school system for it from K to 8, and so it to be broken down that way. But I mean, when you in the first few minutes of the film, when you've got a duck flying over and the first bird with the poop coming down and coming right at you, and you got a theater full of kids, and coming at you, and then they're hooked from that point forward, and then they're learning. That's really the impact of it.
And I know, Sheila, from the museum standpoint. So give us some particulars of when you said it will be running today. That's Saturday. January the 13th.
Saturdays and Sundays. It's three times a day. Every day we're open. So Saturdays and Sundays it's 11, 1:30, and 3:30. And then Wednesdays through Fridays, it's 11:45 because there is a couple other programs in the morning, and then at 1:30 and 3:30. So it's 5 days a week, and we're about to announce we'll be open 6 days a week. So coming in February.
Wow.
So we're very exciting.
Yes.
It's very exciting for us.
Yeah. And tickets? How do we get tickets? And how do we set
our
up
website? Sure. Our website is moshmemphis.com.
MOSH Memphis.com. Okay.
Correct. So if you go to that, you can go straight to our ticket link, or you can scroll down and you'll find Wings Over Water, the movie, in our event section.
Well, it's a wonderful thing. I can imagine. Of course, we're proud of. I tell people a lot of times, people don't know. They see that big flag out there with a duck on it going 60 miles an hour on Walnut Grove Road, and don't know what's behind that tree, And I'm so happy that y'all partnered this with such that museum is amazing, folks. Now,
it really is.
A lot of us, Ron and I, will know it from the Pink Palace from our days growing up, but you guys have done a great job promoting this thing, and it's a destination, isn't it, Sheila?
It really is.
It is a destination. There's signage on Poplar Avenue and billboards around the city trying to get people here and make sure they see this important movie, and then also maybe pick up some other science on the way.
Yeah, and that's 3050 Central Avenue. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been there, been by it, and everything like that. But
you and me both, Larry.
Yeah.
Great place to visit for the whole family.
And James, we appreciate it. Sheila, thank you for taking time on this Saturday morning, folks. We will have all this information on my website, LarryRay.com. I've already posted something on my Facebook page because you guys have done a great job of promoting this through Ducks Unlimited and the museum. But look forward to seeing it myself. I'll take a couple of Dramamines and come in there. Okay, I mean, if y'all know what I'm talking about.
I'm glad I don't have that problem.
I have that problem. I thought I was going to be a submarine guy until I went into a submarine one time. But anyway, James, thank you, buddy. Have a great day. Sheila, thank you also.
Thank you. Take care.
We'll stay in touch anytime you need us. We're here to serve. Okay, y'all have a great, safe weekend. All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Take care.
All right. Let's take a break on Outdoors with Larry Ray and be right back.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray right here on AM 790 in Memphis for all you folks from 9 to 10:30. And it sounds like our next guest is in a wind tunnel. I mean, that makes
driving somewhere, going somewhere,
going or driving or
maybe
something.
going fishing.
I don't know I don't know what's going on in the Carolinas, but we'll find out. And hey, it's always a great pleasure to talk to our buddy David Fritts, legendary bass fisherman, and we had David on one of our real special shows in 2023 where we lined up some guests talking about fishing, and Ron said, well, we got a spot open, and let's talk to David about 2024, what it means to a guy that says he's got a COVID. If anybody knows about COVID, it's David, and all the effects of after effects of that. And what a great career. And so it's always a pleasure to have David Fritts on with us. Good Saturday morning, David.
Hey, good morning.
Glad to have you on. And as Ron suggested, let's talk about 2024, David.
Supposedly you're retired, but you're not.
Yeah, talk about it, David.
Well, there's probably not a fisherman alive that can really say he's going to retire from fishing, because there's no such thing as just quitting going fishing. That just ain't going to happen. I don't think with
That's
anybody.
Right. That's right.
That's right. So what's going to happen? What's going to go on in 2024 for you? What's ahead for you?
Well, I'm gonna right now. My plans are to fish the National Professional Fishing League, which is what, MPFL.
Yes. Yes.
And by doing that, I'm cutting out 3 tournaments. But I think the main thing and what I like about it, and I'm outside. I'm sorry if y'all hear some noise. But,
we love it.
You're in your farm.
You're fine, buddy. Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right.
The main thing is that, we've got a tournament here the very 1st of February. Then we jump all the way to May, and then we go a month to a month and a half between every tournament.
Yes.
And another thing that I like about the MPFL is, we get a day, sort of like the OFLW days, where you had, once you practice and you get Wednesday off and then start the tournament on Thursday. And I really like that because back when I was young, it probably wouldn't have mattered. But now, to get a little bit of time to get all your stuff ready and to get a little bit of rest, I just think this might suit me a little bit better. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go out there and try this and just see.
Great, yeah.
Just because, and not that I don't love bass and love fishing them, but the 2 and 3 weeks at a time, it gets pretty rough for a man that ain't going to, just getting up there close to 70, which I guess I'm 3 years from here, but
you're just a pup. You're just a pup. That's why we like to have you on, David. You're just a pup, but you've also he's dealt with some health issues, David. Let's admit that now. Now, COVID is not fun for anybody. And,
I'm lucky to be here. I'll be honest with you. I'm probably lucky to be talking to you. I got real close, and
you did, didn't you? Tell our listeners that was hard, and the long-term effect of COVID for you too, right? I mean,
well, it is. I've got what they call the long COVID, and I still can't smell nothing. I mean, I cannot.
You still can't smell it, really? Nothing.
No. Can't smell nothing. I've got about half my taste back. Thank God I got a little of that back.
Oh, man. Yeah.
But the fatigue is one of the big things. You just never recoup to that energy level that you had before. My muscles hurt more. And, I'm getting older too, but COVID did that. I mean, you can tell when you have such a big change in a real short period of time, it has to come from that. But, I've had all kinds of surgeries. I went in and had a ablation done because COVID got in my heart. That was the problem.
That was the problem, yeah.
I withstood the COVID pneumonia. My oxygen level got down to 92, which was on the border.
Wow.
But then my heart started racing, and it was like it was going crazy. And
really,
and to come to find out later, that's what kills a lot of the people with COVID. Their heart explodes. My heart was beating 145 to 160 beats a minute for almost 4 days.
Well, you were hospitalized, weren't you, David? Weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in the emergency room for 4 days. So.
Yeah. So you see, folks, this man loves fishing. He's meant so much to fishing too. I mean,
and you know,
the classic champion. I think 83 and angler of the year and things along that line. But you still want to fish, and Ron, you know, we respect that.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's kind of like what David's talking about. You know, as you grow older, and all of us are.
That's a good sign, though.
You know, and it's a good thing. But the fact, you know, we had Larry Nixon on not long ago, and what was one of the things that he talked about was the fatigue factor and those kind of things.
Demands, man.
And the demands. And, you know, David, you know, you're cutting out not only a lot, three tournaments out, but you're able to spread them out, and I know you like that. But, David, I know you're a competitive person.
He's a competitor, yeah.
Now, you know, I've been in the boat with you, so I've seen you in action.
Bless your heart, David. You've been in the boat with Wong, okay? And you're still talking.
Now, I have seen you. I mean, you are so competitive. You're casting to the very last second that you can.
Yeah.
Is it part of the competitiveness in you that is driving you to fish the MPFL?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I just can't.
You can't just quit. Yeah.
You know, I can go 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even a month during deer season without going fishing, but
during diesel,
it's the competition and the mental drive that really makes you go.
Yeah.
And just because, you know, it's sort of like making crankbaits. When I make a crankbait, I want to make that thing the best out there.
Sure.
And that's the way and that's sort of the way it is with fishing. It just
that's right.
You can't get away from it, and
no,
I know I can't get away from
it.
You
can't. No.
And you know, I'm fortunate too.
Yeah, but
but it's sort of like you know, I made some baits for one company, and we come down to one of the last baits that I was making, and they said, it's good enough, we're going to put it out. We can't wait any longer. Well, I'm thinking, man, you know, this probably ain't the people that I really want to be with. But,
no, you want it when it's your time. That's when it's.
Yeah, I want it to be.
If your name's on it. Yeah, if your name's on it.
That's right. I mean, I'm taking all the hits on this.
That's right. Yeah.
But, you know, I have been fortunate along those lines because we have had some really good baits.
Yes, you have.
And such, but
it's been good to you.
Anyway,
yeah, it's been good to you, and I know you put a lot into it, and I know the NPFL that they don't mind you coming aboard. I can tell you that.
No, you know, and actually, you know, I looked at the list.
Yeah.
Of a lot of the anglers, and it's pretty amazing how many crossovers there are there.
Yeah.
And it's a very competitive league, I will tell you that.
Well,
I know it is. I mean, we ain't cut down on the competition, that's for sure.
No, you're still in it to win.
The good thing is, I think the first tournament is in a lake where live scope won't play a part, and
that's it.
I think we've got some tournaments, and with the spring tournaments and the fall tournaments, and just where we're going, you know, may have a little better chance. Obviously, live scope's becoming a part of every time you go fishing,
right.
but it might not be quite as much. You know, you start going up north to the Great Lakes and some of those lakes, and you go up there at a time when you know everybody makes check. That's what they're going to be doing. So
yes,
hopefully I'm getting a little bit away from that, and I'm starting to get a little bit better at that, even though it's sort of out of my league. You know, when it comes to some of the other guys, they're just phenomenal at it. They know how to set their stuff up, and that's something. I can see my screen, especially, you know, with a 12-inch Lowrance, you can see your screen. But the problem, you know, is knowing what you're looking at.
Yeah.
And as far as telling what size fish is, you know, that's out of my league. And when you see one lift his head up out of the grass, and I mean, you know, that just well, I'm not that keen on it.
Well, I got to ask you, how's your deer season going?
Well, actually, I went to Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And, Wisconsin's one of the number one states, and we just was there at the wrong time or something.
Oh, come on.
But anyway,
yeah,
it was one of them, and which, Charlie Ingram and I and
you and Charlie, yeah,
people, we all hunt together, and we don't. I mean, the deer's going to have to be 5.5 years old, and he's going to have to be right there in that 170 class before we even think about it.
That's why I was asking, because, Nixon keeps showing about it. He's the world's greatest deer hunter for bass fishing, and I didn't know if there's a competition going on between you guys out there. Who's killed the biggest? But, David, hey, man, we appreciate it. Ron, you got a last question for David again before we let him go?
No, other than will you be making appearances for your sponsors like at the Bassmaster Classic or the Red Crest Cup or ICAST or any of that?
Well, I know I'll be at the Bassmasters Classic. I ain't missed one in forever.
No,
so,
you better be there, buddy. Yeah.
and we're doing some shows. I've got a couple shows to do for, believe it or not, some of the Ace Hardwares are starting to carry fishing tackle.
Really?
Yeah, that's great.
They really are.
Right. Yeah.
I always do this one in Kentucky, and he's got 2 stores, and it's a nice tackle store, and the people care about fishing. So I go up there and we'll do a little loose casting competition up there, and I've got several of those to do.
Well, I know you'll be busy, and you're always welcome to be on Outdoors with Larry Ray, as you have been over the years, David. And thanks for taking time on this Saturday morning to be with us, buddy. And we'll stay in touch, and let me know if you kill a big one, okay? That's all I want to know. All right?
All right, David.
All right, buddy. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you.
All the best.
All right.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right, let's take a break. Let's close this baby out on Outdoors with Larry Ray. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray. This just solidifies, Ron Wong, that this is the fastest 90 minutes in outdoor radio programming.
Especially for me.
It is for you, and we're going to let Ron slip on out because he's got something to do, and I'm going to take over this last segment because I always like to talk about squirrels, and it's always good to talk to Randy Zeller of the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission because he actually has some roots in our area. But, Ron, you have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend.
Try to
Everybody
stay warm.
Stay safe.
Stay safe, Ron.
Stay safe.
All right, buddy.
Wear your life jacket if you're going to be out.
Well, I mean, not in a boat.
On the water.
Yeah, not in your car. I mean, okay.
That's right.
We may need it.
That's right.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Bye. All right. Let's switch over right now as we close out today's show. And as I mentioned, we got Randy Zeller. He's Assistant Chief of Communication for our good friends of the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission. And they got a big event going on. This is the 3rd year. And I didn't realize that, Randy. This is the 3rd year for the Big Squirrel Challenge.
It is the Big Squirrel Challenge, man. It's actually our 4th Big Squirrel Challenge, but it's the 3rd year that we do it that we've done it on a statewide basis. The very first one started up in Northwest Arkansas,
okay.
And it was actually in May,
okay,
which is the opener
okay.
of our spring season. That's the opener of our spring season.
Yeah.
So it was such a hit that May that they said, you know what, we're going to do it again this winter, and then we're going to turn it into an annual event. So we do it. And what we do, it's a statewide competition. Now, if you're in the state of Arkansas and you're out squirrel hunting, it's been going on yesterday from noon all the way to the end of the day yesterday, and then this morning all the way until noon today.
Okay.
And then if you can get to one of the weigh-in stations, if you go to our website, agfc.com, we have a list of 12 different weigh-in stations across the state. Jonesboro, the Nature Center up in Jonesboro is one of them.
A lot of our listeners,
yes. Yeah, one of my favorite places to hunt squirrels in the world is Wattensaw WMA.
It is a great one,
just outside of Desark and Hazen.
Yes.
That's another one of the weigh-in facilities, too. So it's not just nature centers. It's, some of the WMAs themselves have.
But it's you're saying weigh-ins now. So, I mean, we're actually weighing in these squirrels now, right? I mean.
That's right. That's right. What we're doing is
it's
these are
amazing.
your 3 biggest squirrels that you weigh in. Now, we got 2 categories. We got one category for fox squirrels only because they're going to get a little bigger.
They are.
And then we got one category that's for a mixed bag that has to include at least 1 gray squirrel in that bag.
Okay. Okay.
So, and you're weighing them in field dressed, but with the skin on. But
still,
you know, you
still
you
got
can go
the
there
fur
and-
on. Just got to be
Oh,
field
yeah.
dressed, but still got the fur on. And so you're
That's
not
right.
you're not measuring who's got the longest tail or anything like that.
No, that first year we started trying to figure out how we were going to
I
do
knew
like a
you
longest
did.
tail competition,
Yeah.
things like that. But it got out of hand.
It
so
got
we just
out
stick with
of
weight.
hand. Yeah, yeah. But this thing has grown in popularity because folks, I'm telling you out there, all of us started out with squirrels. I mean, my
Yeah.
uncle took me squirrel hunting when I was growing up in Arkansas in the North Little Rock area, and we went up to Lake Conway. We went up in the Ozarks and things along that line. And this is a great opportunity to take a kid hunting, right? I mean, what's
Absolutely.
the rules here? What do we got here?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, and that's the thing. As long as you're following state rules, you don't have to sign up. There's no registration.
Okay.
There's no entry fees, nothing like that.
Okay.
You just show up at one of the weigh-in sites. Now, if you want to enter in as a youth, we have a section for adults.
Okay, good.
And then we
Yeah.
have a section for youth teams, and the youth team can either be one kid with their mentor, like a father-son or a mother-daughter or whatever you want for that, or it can be 2 youths, and then they have a mentor that's just kind of coaching along. He doesn't do any of the shooting.
But there's a first and second place. Is that right?
We'll actually have places at each region,
Okay.
and we'll give out medals and things like that at each one of those weigh-ins. Each one of those 12 weigh-ins, we'll have medals given out there. But at the end of the whole thing, everybody will get together and kind of tally up, all of their scores. And later on next week, we will release who won the overall biggest squirrel, biggest bag of squirrels.
And there's a big prize. There's a nice prize. There's a nice.
They'll get a high-powered air rifle. Courtesy of Umarex.
Yes.
Which is an Arkansas company here.
Is that Arkansas? I did not realize that. So it's a competition, but squirrel hunting to me is the roots of all. I mean. And that's where, as I said, we've all started from. And I don't want to say that it's going away. It's not, but it gets overruled a lot of time by the bigger sports because, of course, we have the deer season is still going in Tennessee, and the waterfowl season. We're finally getting the weather and the ducks here, and it's almost over. So
yes, sir. Well, it's the way the squirrels are. I mean, honestly, if you look at a good deer hunter, I promise you they're a good squirrel hunter too.
That's it, right?
And vice versa. I mean, that's one of those things that when I was growing up, I hunted squirrels probably for a year or two before Dad let me loose on deer hunting. And that's where you really learn a lot of your woodsmanship is in the woods chasing squirrels. One, you get a lot more chances to shoot, so it kept me a lot more interested in going.
Yes.
And a squirrel can be just as tricky to bag as a deer can if you get right down to it.
And particularly, I loved the fox squirrel. Was one of those things most people get them mounted or whatever it might be. But again, that's the we're calling it the Big Squirrel Challenge.
It is Big Squirrel Challenge. Now, not to be confused with another Arkansas original. Now, Arkansas is also the home of the World Championship Squirrel Cook-Off.
Yes,
and
it is.
That same nature center up in Northwest Arkansas, it'll be hosting it again this coming fall.
And that's at Springdale, isn't it? I mean, up at Springdale.
Right.
Yeah, and that's
that's a big fun event too.
That's on my bucket list because I've always wanted to go to that. But this kind of kicks it off right here. Well, thank you, Randy Zeller, buddy. Thank you for stopping in with us on Outdoors with Larry Ray. And again, folks, that's the Big Squirrel Challenge. Started yesterday, goes today. And then sometime next week, Randy will send out a press release, and we'll get it on my website, LarryRay.com. Sure, it's going to be on Facebook page, and it's a cool thing. Thanks, Randy. We'll talk to you, buddy.
Thank you, man.
Have a great
All right,
weekend. Bye-bye. All right, Randy Zeller. That's a pretty cool thing. The Big Squirrel Challenge. Let me again go over before we get out of here on today's show that next week Frank Barton will be in studio. We've already hooked it up for next week's show to talk a little crappie fishing. I think you're going to enjoy some of that, and some other guests will be on with next week. But again, put it on your calendar. The Mid-South Sports Boat and RV Show at the Agri Center. I'll be out there. I'll be doing the announcements and taking care of all the seminars. And again, we've got some great seminar speakers, and we're probably going to do some of them on next week's show also as we get closer to it. January 26th, 27th, and 28th. We got David Beal, Square Bill Crankbaits. We might be able to get David in next week with Frank Barton. Jane Bruner, she's going to talk about reels and their maintenance. Clay Blair, as we had on today's show, springtime crappie fishing. David Best, kayak fishing. Of course, David is a regular guest here. SYS Wilson and primary tackle. Ron Wong will be on with spring bass fishing. Tommy Cawley, the Toad himself from Heber Springs, Arkansas. He's going to talk about marine electronics explained. And Jeremy Presley, black bass tackle industry, will be another one of our seminar speakers. So put that on your calendar for January 26th, 27th, and 28th for that big event. And that is true. That is a change in the date. This thing's been going for more than 40 years. And we're in January this time, but it's another presentation of Expo South and Universal Fairs, and look forward to seeing a lot of you folks out there for that event. And again, I'm asking for folks, if you've got a big deer or some ducks, whatever you might have, you want to take a picture and you send it in, we will be glad to post it on Outdoors of Larry Ray at LarryRay.com. That's LarryREA.com. And we're going to give away some prizes. We want those things sent to us, LROutdoors.net, LROutdoors at ATT.net, LROutdoors at ATT.net, and you'll have a chance to win some big prizes. But we got all that. Future schedules coming up. Again, I want to stress, as Ron Wong stressed before he left us, that forecast doesn't look good for next week. Be safe. It's going to be cold. Take care of those faucets and dripping waters, and take care of those pets. And I know that I'm not sure I'll deer hunt next week. The season's still going on. But don't forget, this weekend, today and tomorrow, is the Young Sportsman's Deer Hunt in the CWD area right here in West Tennessee. And that's today and tomorrow. And if you get your deer and you want to get it processed, be sure and take it by Dave Payne at Payne's Pipe Dream Farms Butchery right off Highway 70. And again, go to my website, LarryRay.com, because it's still time to kill you some rabbits and squirrels. Billy Montague's great rabbit hunts. You could go there and click on that nice picture of that beagle, take you right to Billy Montague, and you go out and have as he likes to say, this is fun. That's what Billy always says. All right, so I'm going to get us out of here, Shelby, and get you out of here too. Shelby McCall is our show producer. That's close enough. She's almost a sponsor. She does it for us, that's for sure. So before I go, what do I always say? I always say something, quoting the late and great Benny Craig, who was a sportscaster on Channel 11 in Little Rock. While I was growing up, he worked for Colonial Bakery in Little Rock, and he always wore his bread outfit. When he did the sports, he had his hat on, and he did all the Arkansas Travelers, Little Rock Traveler baseball games, and he would always close his sports show. And people have asked me, why do I always say this every week? It doesn't cost an extra cent to be a good sport. And God bless the USA.